could introduce yourself, tell people who you are, what you do.
Fantastic. Should I look right there?
Oh, dude, look wherever you want. We have 3 separate cameras, all for you.
Oh, perfect. Hi, my name is Luca L. I am a Air Force veteran, 6 active years, and then transitioned to the Air National Guard, where I still serve with the 140th. I'm also a peer support specialist at the VA. I think that covers pretty much the groundwork.
Hell yeah.
And also a huge nerd.
What kind of nerd, though?
Oh, man. I watch the Lord of the Rings extended editions in one sitting at least once a year. I have read all of Redwall. I own all of Goosebump books. I have, most of the collection. I lost a few when I moved. I play a lot of tabletop role-playing games, a lot. I usually have like 3 or 4 games a week.
What's the program that CRF, or not program, but thing that they started with games that you were working with
the Combat Recovery Foundation?
Yeah.
So I'm working with David to do the Survivors Guild. I'm helping him run the in-person ones. This particular year, it's not as successful as I was hoping, but I'm going to try as we go into the holidays and the schedule starts getting whack. Like that just happens. Following next year, I've got new ideas on how to improve it and do better for the in-person ones.
Hell yeah. We've met each other a bunch of times, and just here recently gotten to see each other even more, working on a movie, Cyborg Recall. Super excited for that thing to come out.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, no, we've really gotten to talk a lot more, and I was like, dude, you should come on the podcast. And I wasn't sure if you'd want to, just with how busy you guys are. So I'm really glad you were able to find the time to do this.
I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk about all sorts of different stuff. Mostly my experience, military experience, and then also the recovery story following, and then the eventual landing point of the work that I do now.
No, I love it. I'm excited. Let's get into it. Where'd you grow up, man?
I'm a Colorado local by technicality. I was actually born in Texas and then raised in Japan and then went everywhere from there. But from the what we call the formative years, when I stopped being a prepubescent child and went into being my teenage years, where I thought I knew how the world worked. I didn't. But those years were in Colorado from like 13 forward. So I've been, and that was in Falcon, Colorado, outside of Black Forest.
I did not know that about you. I didn't know you grew up in Japan.
So my dad,
I could see why you're a nerd. Like, that makes so much more sense.
It does. I think I'm a nerd because my dad's a nerd. Like, he made us go watch Star Wars and when they're out in theaters. But that's actually a funny story. I don't know every detail, but I know the premise of what happened was I was born in Texas at a air base that was in the process of shutting down, and my dad was in charge of trying to shut it down. And then, of course, because terrible things in my family happen in threes, he had something else going on. I forgot what it was. But then also both me and my mom almost died during my birth.
Oh, no.
Which leads into a funny story. But so he was having to bounce in between running a base shutdown and de-armament, as well as trying to get to the hospital to visit his wife. And then his son was in a separate hospital because I had to be incubated.
Oh, man. I actually do understand that feeling. My as far as what your dad went through, my oldest was born at 26 weeks. 2 pounds, 6 ounces. He was in there for like 3 months. So like I get having to like bounce back and forth, but I can never imagine having to run what he was running and deal with that. That was,
yeah.
I was lucky enough to have like a little bit of time off before them. No, that's crazy.
It is. And then so what had happened is I was born late and I defecated in the bag. So that was what was an infection was killing both me and my mom. And the funny story that accompanies that, because then right afterwards, because the base was shutting down and my dad was in charge of it, he got his choice of where to go. And he was like, I want to go to Japan. They're like, Okinawa it is. And they send him over there. So I wasn't even a year old and still having some minor health issues, being sent over to Japan. And while we were there, I don't know the full story. All I know is that his orders got messed up somehow. He was only supposed to do 4 years, but he did 8. So he was there in Okinawa, Japan for 8 years during our uprising, which is uprising while we were being raised. Shouldn't say it that way, but
The uprising.
the uprising, the Lovato children.
First, we take Japan.
But yeah, we were there for 8 years, and my sibling and I are weird. So honestly, thank goodness we were there where they were more accepting.
Do you speak fluent? I mean, if there's any place to be weird, it's Japan. Do you guys speak fluent Japanese?
We used to, but once you leave Japan, you have no one to practice with.
Right.
And if you don't use it, you lose it.
That's fair. So if somebody threw you in Japan right now, do you think you wouldn't be able to hold like a clean conversation that we're having now? It would more be like spotty. It would sound like broken English.
I can ask where the bathroom is. I can say I'm sorry. I can say please and thank you. I have those down pat, I think. But everything else is it's going to be all hand gestures. But if I sat down,
pantomiming.
Yeah. But if I ask if I sat down and actually like tried to learn the language again, it would be like a month, 2 months.
Oh man. How so when you moved back to America, how was that transition going from Japan to
horrendous in a lot of ways? The funniest story I think I can give is that we went from Japan to Oklahoma, the backwoods of Oklahoma.
That is such a stark difference.
It is. The funny story I have accompanying that is my handwriting's messed up because of it. Because when I was in Japan, they were like, "You write in cursive or we no grade." But then I go to the backwoods of Oklahoma and they're like, "We can't read cursive. You got to write and print." So like all of my handwriting is a combination of cursive and print because it was right when I was learning all my cursive. I can write in both, but like my R's are always cursive R's and my L's are always cursive L's, but every D is print.
That is weird. Man, that has to suck going from like such a strict school atmosphere to like American education, which I mean, we could do a lot better, but that has to be nuts going from that to American standard.
Oh yeah. We went from one of the highest schools to one of the lowest because we went to Enid, Oklahoma, which is
how far is that from like Fort Sill, Oklahoma? Oh wait, I'm thinking Army. It's an Army base in Oklahoma. I wasn't sure if you guys if he was stationed anywhere near there.
If I recall, the base was Hickam. I mean, the only thing I really remember from the base is that they were very serious about DUIs. So when you yeah, I've got stories about that too. Don't worry. But at the front gate, they had 2 vehicles. They managed to pull from the local police force who were in crashes and people died. So they had 2 mangled cars outside of the front gate just saying, "Don't drink and drive."
Was it in those big see-through boxes, like a steel box with glass?
You can walk right up to it.
Oh man.
I mean, they removed the windows so you can't cut yourself on it, but
right.
They were just 2 mangled cars.
Ugh. Yeah, they did that outside of Fort Benning, I think, at one point, and at one of the high schools, they brought like this little thing that you sit in, and they release it, and you go forward like 10 feet. But they're like, "This is what it feels like running into something going 20 miles an hour," and I'm like, I mean, that's not too bad. And then they pull it back further and then hit it. This is at 40 miles an hour, and I'm like, all right, I could definitely see myself messing my face up, hitting anything going that fast. But man, that's nuts. How was it just getting settled back in America since your entire childhood was over in Japan?
Difficult.
Yeah.
From that point on, I was always the weird one. I mean, I was always kind of weird, but like when you're a kid in Japan, it's so different. Being the weird one, because then there's some entertainment value in it. But in American culture, if you're the weird one, you need to be removed.
Yeah,
is the mindset. So it was extremely difficult for both my sibling and I, because also my mannerisms were set in Japan. My sibling's 4 years older than me, so like their mannerisms are somewhat, but they're more Americanized than I am. But but that's where my mannerisms were set. It entirely was all in Japanese culture. So like that's what I brought with me as a kid back to America. Horrible experience, really.
How big of a difference is it with those mannerisms? Or like when I think Japan, I think, you know, everybody's super scared of dishonoring themselves or their family. And over in America, it's like, I don't care. I did yada, yada, yada. You know, like, did you feel like you were too apologetic when talking to people coming from Japan to America? Like in school specifically?
I've become an over-explainer because of it. Because when you say, I'm sorry, like my apologies in with Japanese culture, it's more like, you know, okay, you're sorry, move on. We just need to get this stuff done. But in America, as a kid in American culture, you say, I'm sorry. They expect an explanation. And then it's always the thing that always tripped me up, even as a kid, was that people would ask, why did this happen? Why did you do this? You start explaining why you did it. And they go, I'm not looking for excuses. It's like, you asked. And I even remember as a kid, I found that very confusing. No, but it was just, I don't know. Now I've become an over-explainer. Every time I explain something that's going on, it's so impossible for me to be concise because of that jarring difference. It wasn't like Japanese culture specifically. It was just the jarring difference of I feel like I have to explain every little bit of thing that's going on to convey a message.
Did that follow you into the military?
Oh, yeah.
Did it make it worse or easier? Because people were able to like, oh, okay, he explained it.
My documentation on aircraft was a lot easier, right. But socializing, no. No.
Were you the head honcho of the nerd group in high school? Just because you're like, you were in Japan and like these guys, all they can think about is, oh, I just watched a new episode of Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, the Pokemon's a funny joke because my first name is Lucario. I was one of before that Pokemon came out, I was one of the only 3 Lucarios in the whole world on a registry basis. I remember looking up at the time. After that Pokemon came out, there's like 40 or 50 in the registry from like 10 plus years ago. So like I used to be unique. I'm the real Lucario. The Pokemon Lucario is named after me. Came out when I was like 14 years old. So like
that's crazy.
Yeah, and my name's Hispanic. I don't know how the hell that happened. My grandmother named me. Okay, so now I share a name with a Pokemon.
No,
but that was like one of the peak bullying things. Was like, this kid's name, it's Lucario. Let's get him. Like
at least it wasn't Ash Ketchum. That you would have been fucked.
That would have been terrible. But I have this memory of I can't remember exactly what was shouted. Something was shouted. Something Pokemon related was shouted when I was at high school. And I remember like they're like, go get him or something like that. And I was like, huh? And I turned around and just this big, almost I know it was solid. I don't remember if it was ceramic or anything. It was solid, giant Pokeball, just whack, like straight in the head. That looking back, pretty funny. At the time, I think I was really pissed off.
Did it just bounce off, lay on the ground, and go, you?
It should have. It was a very unsuccessful capture, I think.
It just captures your soul.
I wasn't even low HP. Like, what was he doing?
God. No. I've been, I can't think of the name. Flash Gets. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
Okay. My kid introduced me to this. He's like, you watched Pokemon, right? And then he shows me that, and I'm like, oh my God. And for anybody that's never seen that, be aware. It's like a bunch of nerds our age making like explicit, funny, hardcore Pokemon jokes, like, and Nintendo and just anything having to do with like cartoons or anything around that time. It's hilarious. But my kids were the ones that introduced me to that one, and it just blew me away, some of the stuff that they have on there. Back to your time after coming from Japan and getting settled in America. What motivated you to join the military? What did you do that right out of high school, or was it?
Not quite right out of high school. My big thing one of my big motivations was that I watched my sibling struggle significantly out in the what I can now refer to as the civilian world, just doing it like that. And I saw what my sibling was becoming, and I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I think I'd rather do something a bit more secure. And then I decided to follow in my dad's footsteps. He was also Air Force. And I got my number 2 job. I just didn't understand the cost of that number 2 job. I didn't really know what it was, but it was a hydraulic specialist on aircraft. So
what was the cost with that?
It sucked. That was the cost.
Yeah, there you go.
It's but I think there's very few jobs in the military that are fun and enjoyable. I think most of them suck to some type of degree. Yeah. I just picked the one that didn't meld with me too well. So right. as we're now talking about me joining the military, I also want to bring up a childhood thing, because we're going to kind of start going into like my recovery story. Something that happened post leaving Japan was that coming back into American school system, I'm sure, hopefully you viewers also know about this. The late 90s to the early 2000s, there was this era where everyone was getting diagnosed with different mental health conditions. And rather than kind of developing these practices that could be helpful, they were like, let's make more meds. And there's a lot of different theories, I'll say, and also like conspiracy theories as well, as to like, was it really just big pharma pushing these diagnoses? I can't really say. I didn't really investigate any of that. All I know is that I refer to myself as a victim of it, because in my eyes, I was just a kid. I was hyperactive. You're telling a hyperactive kid to sit still in class and do work. It's never going to work. You have to be able to meet them in the middle. You have to make it interesting. You have to be a teacher. Yeah. And being a teacher isn't an easy job. So, but there was a lot of teachers out there that didn't want to do that type of work. So they would tell the parents, hey, your kid doesn't sit in class. He needs to get diagnosed. He needs to be on something. So
was it like Ritalin or?
Ritalin was one of them. But there was this era when a lot of kids were being given medication that they did not need just because they were hyperactive. And I was one of them. And it was medication I seriously did not need at really high volumes. There was one time I also went from Oklahoma to Hawaii and then to Colorado. So like it's a weird childhood. Whack as all hell. But there was a time when I accidentally took a daytime medication at nighttime, and it was an upper, but it made me hallucinate for some strange reason.
How old were you?
Oh God, 9 at the time. Jeez. And I was on medication that crazy. My sibling at one point was given Ritalin. Said that they had this story where they started becoming a bedwetter because of it. And then they would, at one point, they were found in their closet having a panic attack at like 2:00 in the morning because of the medication that they were on. Jeez. And at the end of it, when I finally stopped taking this medication at 17 years old, so I was on medication from 9 to 17 during that huge gap. Somewhere in that range. It might have been from 10 to 17. And it was
constant, like you were taking your medicine on a schedule.
Yes.
So there were no like big breaks or anything like, geez, that's ridiculous.
So there's 2 different effects to that. One is that I grew up my life thinking there was something wrong with me, that there was something that needed to be fixed, that I needed medication for. And the second thing that happened was I developed absolutely no behavioral control, because I was on behavioral meds during the most important development period of my brain. Right. So coming out of it, when I eventually stopped, which by the way, at the end of it, at 17 years old, I was taking Adderall at 350 milligrams. So yeah, meds I did not need. When I came out the other end of it, I was manic. I had zero control over my own outbursts. Every bit of energy was like at 100. So I had this problem of control, and that leads into some of my military experience.
Did you go through withdrawals after getting off of it?
I don't know. I feel like I went through 10 years of withdrawals, to be entirely honest.
No, for that long, it's an amphetamine. Like it's a light version of meth, basically. Like it's nuts. I've watched a couple documentaries on that stuff, that and like the painkiller issues. Like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of rabbit holes you can go down with that. But man, that is nuts. What was the biggest behavior issue you had getting off and kind of being an adult and getting off of that medication? What was the biggest issue that you ran into?
Pathological lying.
Oh yeah. How did that affect you?
It affects everything. No one can trust you. You come up with the weirdest stories. I don't know where it even came from, because it's not like I didn't get attention.
Right.
I had attention in my family. My parents are good parents. I know that I tell that story, and I imagine some people try to look between the lines and be like, oh, why'd your parents medicate you? They didn't know any better. My mom is a former farmer from the backwoods of Texas, and my dad was raised in New Mexico on the other side of the tracks, if I recall. So like they have no knowledge of that field. They didn't know any better. You
get a doctor saying, yeah, he needs this.
Yeah, they had no idea. And of course we all regret it, but like what's done is done.
Right.
But pathological lying was ruining me actively. And if you're a liar in the military,
that was going to be my next thing. How did pathologically lying help you out in basic?
Oh, it didn't help.
No.
No, none of it. It did not help at all. And I look, I don't know where it came from, because like I said, that I had outbursts. I couldn't control it. I would be like 2 sentences in before I realized that I'm even lying. I'm just talking. It's like I took a backseat to someone else controlling my body. And that would drive me insane all the way through my early 20s.
Do you think it dampened how you respond to things? And then, now you're an adult and you're off of it. Now there's no dampener, there's no governor. So now you're just like talking like you're saying and not even realizing you're lying. How was that as a kid?
I didn't, I think I came up with maybe a few lies when I was a kid, but it ramped up when I came off of the Adderall. I don't think that the Adderall was dampening it. I think it was the problem. Looking back at it, because I had behavioral medication that was so strong during the peak of brain development,
right?
Like your early teenage years. That's when everything really starts to kick into gear. And I was on medication that was controlling my behavior. And other people said that they could tell days that I actually did take my medication, because I was like a zombie. I wasn't even half of who I was.
What, after getting out of high school, now you're getting off Adderall and all these other medications. What were you doing after you got out of the high school?
I wanted 1 year to do nothing, because for some reason as a teenager, I thought high school was the biggest stressor I was going to experience in life. And I did do nothing for like a year. I don't even remember doing a single thing that was productive. But after that, I fulfilled on my promise and I joined the military. And I had this idea, because I had heard my dad's stories of him being in the military, and I was like, oh, I'm going to join the military. They'll make me into more of what I want to be. But what I realized was I wasn't joining my dad's military. I was joining a different military that had evolved since then. And even now, as my stories of my active duty life, other people would be like, is that what I'm joining now? And it's not even close. Every 10 or so years, what the military is just shifts. And you would think it would move with the culture. No, it moves on its own. It's completely independent. For you? I hated my active duty years.
Yeah,
very much so. I was a part of deployments. I was a part of exercises, and I was in 2 real world missions, and I preferred my time in the honor guard.
Okay.
So as kind of like help paint the picture of the frustrations with it, because my first unit did not like me, but I would think that maybe there's a couple that probably enjoyed my company to like some degree, but they did not like me at all. I exhibited none of the Air Force values whatsoever. I had no integrity because I was a pathological liar. I had no excellence in all I could do. because I didn't want to be there because I was starting to hate everyone that was around me. And then I didn't have service before self because I was hating everyone that was around me. So I was exhibiting no Air Force values while I was there. So like I was receiving a lot of, let me see if I can say this in a way that like doesn't make it sound like it was a soap party, because it wasn't. But I was receiving of a lot of
negative reinforcement,
unpreferred treatment. Is
That's
how
one
I
way
would phrase it. Because I never received a soap party.
Right.
That's not what the military is anymore. I've never been on the receiving. For those watching, if you don't know what a soap party is, if you've watched Full Metal Jacket, it's that scene where he gets beat up by a bunch of soaps and bags. But I've never received that. But they would. I have. You'll have to censor this, but like one of the moments that I recall is one of my actual direct supervisors, someone who was actually in charge of me. I was having a conversation with someone. It was freezing cold. I was letting my hands warm up because you can't work on hydraulic equipment with all the warmth on you. You have to like take everything off and be on gloves and then get covered in hydraulic fluid while it's blizzarding. I was letting my hands warm up. He was doing something else. I think he was actually up on the stand, but he wasn't in the part that we were working on. And while I was having a conversation to someone else about different kinds of video games that were coming out at the time, he just blurted out of nowhere, just going, if you spent this much time thinking about your actual job, you wouldn't be such a retard. And there's a world where that's funny.
Right.
But you can tell in tone when people mean it.
Yeah.
And that was the stuff that I would receive on a regular basis from direct supervisors, from people in charge of me. My own chain of command would say things and treat me that way. In my entire 6 years of active duty service, I never once got an award. No one ever put me in for one.
Oh, damn. And you said 6 years active duty?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Do you think you got anything out of your time in active duty?
I got a lot.
That was positive. Yeah.
I got a lot of negatives. I mean, I learned a lot about myself. And honestly, if I was trying to function in the regular world and I didn't have this job security of being active duty, I would have been so screwed. I really would have been. I would have been homeless like year 2 or something.
Right.
It just, something would have gone wrong because I didn't have that structure built into me to actually have responsibility. So it just, I would not have survived if I wasn't in. So I don't regret joining. I just regret picking the job that I did because I did not meld with maintenance culture whatsoever.
Right.
I was never the guy that hangs out at the
grease monkey.
The grease monkey, knuckle dusters, bubble chasers, what have you.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's hydraulics.
I was a diesel mechanic in the Army. And yeah, it's a lot of bubble chasers.
But the guys that crack open a beer, hang out at the tailgate, watch the football game, that was never me.
Right.
I was never that person. So I never once melded with that culture at all. And that contributed to a lot of the unpreferred treatment that I was receiving on. But what it ended up circumventing to, I have 2 different, and this is where it's going to get real serious. I have 2 different suicides that I tried to do while I was in active duty.
Oh, man.
One of them I was hospitalized for. And what was such a contributor to it is right before the first one, I was assaulted, not by anyone in the military, but I was assaulted. And I was realizing that I couldn't turn to anyone because for me specifically, this isn't everybody's story, but for me specifically, the assault itself was not the most traumatic part. It was the treatment after.
By just
cohorts
just
by other people, period.
Oh.
So one of my closest friends that I had since I lived in Oklahoma, he was the first person I told about it. And he thought for a second and goes well, did you enjoy it? And how could I have possibly have enjoyed it? I didn't want it. The next person that I tried to tell about it was well, you were drinking at a party. What do you think was going to happen? And that was the treatment that would circumvent. And the people that I worked with and at this unit, I'm not going to rat them out by name because that'd be really uncool. I mean, if you did digging, you would find them, but
as you're like spelling it.
Yeah, as I was like, you can find them at this specific address.
I guess if you really did your research in Oklahoma.
That wasn't my first duty station, but yeah. But these were the same people that when suicide prevention training would come up and someone would miss it, they'd be like, hey, did you do your suicide prevention training yesterday that we all supposed to come in? Oh, no, I missed it. And they would go like, all right, don't kill yourself. There, I'll sign you off. You did your training. Like those are the people that I worked with, were people who had zero empathy and didn't care because they were beer drinking buddies. A culture I never mixed with.
Right. And that on top of like not very good leadership from what it sounds like, and feeling like you can tell somebody did that. I don't know how deep you want to get into each thing, but as far as like assault and stuff, you said there were 2 separate incidences of you dealing with suicide. Mm-hmm. How did those both present themselves?
The one I got hospitalized for, the first one was someone else, another friend that I had, an internet friend that I had who was serving in Guam, caught wind of it and called his first shirt, which then called my first shirt, which then came and found me. But I was going to do asphyxiation was my goal. I was going to try. I don't think this is quite the right environment to describe the exact methods, but it's referred to as a kill bag was what I was building because I wanted to just pass out and not
feel anything and it just be done. I got you.
Yeah. And my first shirt drove me around, understood that like I was making a decision and I was in the hospital in padded walls the very next day.
Do you think that was a good thing for you at that time?
Probably. I think that was the first and only time I actually got to be around people with empathy. And
that cared about what you were going through at that time.
Yeah. Because the doctors aren't the important factor when you end up in a hospital with your shoelaces and your belt taken away, sleeping on the most uncomfortable foam made mattress that's like this thick with no blankets in a terribly cold environment. But like I was alongside this, a lot of my time I spent was watching reruns of NCIS with this woman who was older than me, who was put in the hospital because she had different political views than the rest of her family. And they thought she was crazy for it. And I was with another girl who was younger than me, who was having challenges because her parents were fighting and going through a divorce. There was someone else there who had one arm, who was who would go in and out of this hospital frequently because he's trying to adjust to life with missing an arm. The things that they said, the things that they introduced me to, the perspectives they had was a million times more effective than anything a doctor has ever said to me. They're the ones who said that you're not broken, that we're just trying to figure it out. That there is a future for you where you have adjusted and you're better for it. And they're the only ones that ever instilled that kind of hope in me.
That's good. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm glad you're here in general, but that feeling of being in a pit and not knowing if you're going to be able to get out and feeling like you're not going to be able to get out. And now you're like hitting that wall of, all right, well, I'm never going to get out of this. Life's never going to get better than this moment that I'm in right now. I think for a lot of people getting through just that part, hearing other perspectives, like you're saying, and hearing from other people like, hey, dude, I don't even know you and I want you here. You know what I mean? I think that makes a huge difference for a lot of people because you get in that headspace of like, I don't matter. Nobody cares about me. And all the references they have are people that they're around that are just shitbags that, you know, aren't good leaders. You don't have good leadership at the time. You don't, and all these people that you were meeting, they're all in the military as well, right?
No, actually, the people that were at this facility, my first installation was also in the backwoods. So like my facility was just in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't military specific.
Man, that sucks even more.
The difficult part was also that because they were so underfunded, the mental health section was also next to the geriatric section. So there were a couple times where we would wake up in the middle of the night because someone's having a
heart attack or something.
Well, what I'll refer to as like an episode of dementia, because they're grabbing the door like, I want to leave at 2 a.m. And looking back from years later, kind of funny, unfortunately, in a like kind of dark, twisted way. But in the moment, you're just so terrified because they're not going to open the doors for you.
So what was the next step after that? Were they like, hey, you got to get out? Like, we're getting you out of the military? Or, hey, we're going to do what we're supposed to and get you into counseling and stuff like that?
Day one, returning back to shift after I was gone for a couple of weeks. And for reference, if you're in and your wingman, your battle buddy, your fellow devil dog, sailor, whoever it be, if they disappear for a couple weeks and you ask supervision, hey, where are they? They go, don't worry about it. You know where they are. You know what they're like where they're at. So there's no way that they didn't know without, of course, I don't think my first shirt violated any rules.
Right.
But there's no way that they didn't know where I was. Because if I was arrested, the unit would be talking about that.
There'd be a couple classes on DUIs.
Yeah, and they'd be doing some kind of safety brief, like, do not get into a fight at the gay bar, please.
If it sounds stupid, looks stupid, smells stupid, it's probably stupid. Don't do it.
Not that gay bars are stupid. I was just using it as an example. The day one, the returning back to shift, one, not my direct supervisor, but one of the NCOs on shift. I was barely talking on the way back. They put me on antidepressants for 6 months to try and kind of like figure out, try to like stabilize me, to just be like, keep me on watch. And I had to meet with someone every 2 weeks to make sure I wasn't making any more plans. But that first day, within a couple hours of that shift, the NCO that was on shift was like, what even is your problem, man? Like, what do you have to be sad about? I'm the one with problems. Day one.
That sucks. And this is supposed to be your leadership as well. Yeah.
That was like, obviously we don't have to get too far into the weeds. I have so many different stories of different BS that they did that was like that. But actions speak louder than words. There is a world where the things that they said would be funny, but they never followed it up with any kind of actions of caring.
Right.
And all I ever wanted out of that experience was for, here comes another bleep, but all I ever wanted out of that experience was just for someone to give just at least a little bit of a shit.
Right.
And that's all I ever wanted out of anybody. And I had two, and I will name these two supervisors because they were brilliant. And probably are brilliant. I just don't know where they are. I know one of them got out and he's probably smoking weed somewhere, living his life. So who knows if he's brilliant anymore? He may have chose not to be. But these two, at the time, Technical Sergeant Hagerman and Technical Sergeant Waters. Hagerman was the first one who didn't make me feel like an idiot as my supervisor. We were in what's called the boom pod, because I worked on KC-135s for my first 6 years. We were working there and we're working through this panel, and I forgot what he was teaching me at the time, but he was showing me like troubleshooting the panel itself. And I was like, oh, kind of like error codes on computers. Like when you're building a computer, like the error codes you get, they associate with this, and this is what this is. And he looked at me dead in my eyes like, see, you are teachable. I just got to find common ground. And that moment stuck with me because he didn't make me feel like an idiot.
Right.
He was like, you do have the ability to be smart. It's just, we just got to find out where the bridges meet. And of course, when I was eventually named as primary trainer, which to the credit of the unit, making me a trainer was a genius move because I didn't care about the mission at the time, but making me a trainer, I cared a lot about the people. So by assigning me as the primary trainer for brand new airmen, I had to then learn the things I was trying to teach. Smart move. That was a brilliant move. That's a good thing to do with an airman who's unmotivated, because then they're going to care about the people more than they care about the aircraft. good move. But when I eventually became a trainer, I started applying them, meeting them at the common ground, and I was able to teach some airmen complex aircraft stuff by talking about their common interests, just by doing that. And he's the one who showed that to me. The other one, at the time, Technical Sergeant Waters, was a really good supervisor because he didn't make me feel like I was crazy. There were times that he would actively call me out when I started rolling into a pathological lie, and it gave me an opportunity to actually correct myself
and confront it.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
He actually allowed me an opportunity to say like, no, but it would be funny. And that was a very curative experience. And like one of my favorite things that he did was the what ifs, when you're on like a mid shift, you've got nothing going on, and it's just a bunch of dudes hanging around playing cards or whatever, and the what if situations, like questions come up.
Right.
I can't remember exactly what the question was, but I said that I would do something in a hypothetical circumstance. He's like, Lovato, why the hell do you keep taking the high road? That road's not for you. And I was like, maybe. So
it's good that you were able to meet some people that were like not turds, because it sounds like you were just surrounded in wherever this unit is. It sounds like you were just surrounded by turds that, I love fucking with people more than anybody, but at the same time, if I'm pretty good at reading people, and if I see, something's wrong with this person, like I'm not going to not fuck with them, but I'm going to afterwards be like, are you okay? Like, I was just messing with you. Like, is everything going on like copacetic? And like, I think it sounds like you only met a couple people that were of that mind. And I'm glad you were able to. Is that when after working with them, did it get better, or as you got closer to finishing out your active duty side of things?
After meeting with them, and especially after being in the hospital, I started actually working on myself. And that's what I needed for so much of my life, was to actually be able to turn the mirror the other way and take a hard look at myself. I would not get control of my mania until I was 27. So I was dealing with it up till then. And I joined at 19, so 6 years, 24. 25.
So close.
Yeah. I've got a degree.
I said hydraulics, not math.
But around when I got out around that time, I was trying to work on myself. Unfortunately, the easy life of being in a secure job like the Air Force followed me. So when I left, I tried to start my own business because I thought that I could, and I failed absolutely miserably.
What do you think that was?
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know. Like, looking back at it, I still didn't exhibit any of those Air Force values, and I transitioned to Air National Guard, but like I didn't have any integrity. I didn't have a proper work mindset. I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll do what I always do in the military, and then the money will just come.
Yep.
And then it didn't.
Yep.
And for 1 year, I was living out of my car.
Man, no, that I look back on my time in the military, and I feel like I could have done a lot better and really done something with that time. I feel like I just, screwed off for about 7 years. Like I look back now and I'm like, man, if I could go back, I would have done this, and this. And I joined at 17. So the only mentality I had was what I had learned in the military, the shitbags I surrounded myself with. Like, I get out and I had that, oh yeah, I'll just do what I did in the military. And it's like, it's not going to work out. So I know we're kind of limited on time. Is there, you said you wanted to talk about some of your recovery stuff. When did that start coming into your life to where you realized, I'm beginning to get a problem, or like when did that start affecting you?
The hospitalization was when I started realizing that, hey, maybe I need to work on myself. I don't think this is normal. Around 26 was when I started really making some groundwork. because that was in the tail end of living out of my car for a time. And I also had a really good supervisor in the Guard when I was still aircraft hydraulics. I recently transitioned over to public affairs. And that unit, I don't feel bad for calling out, but that's the 140th in Denver at the Buckley Space Force Base, if it's even called Space Force Base anymore. I don't know. It keeps changing its name. At one point, it was Buckley Garrison Unit, and then anyway.
Oh, I still call Fort Bragg.
Yeah,
and Fort Benning. Like.
but that was like the time period that I like 1 year after that. So like 26 was when I really started to put some really good work on myself to figure myself out. Especially going out there and failing as bad as I did. I ended up 13,000 upside down. And I've paid all of it back. Yay me.
Nice. No, congrats. Dude, that's something to be proud of. A lot of people fall even deeper into that whole, like, on top of school debt, on top of, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's good on you.
And then I found tabletop role-playing games around this time. It had been introduced to me before a couple of times, but this was like the first time I was able to really absorb into it. And I discovered something about my pathological lying, which is why at 27, I finally cured myself of my mania. I have a reserve amount of energy in my brain at all times that can just fire. All it needed was a direction. And the second that I picked up tabletop role playing, and this is hard to say without tearing up, but the moment I picked it up, all the pathological lying left my body like a flood. All of the mania left my body, because anytime that I'm not mentally present in the moment, I have the same thing to think about. I'm not coming up with wild stories to tell you, be like, hey, my last name's Lovato. Did you know I'm related to Demi Lovato? Which is not true. I mean, as far as I'm aware, it could be true, but who knows? But I'm not coming up with that stuff anymore. Instead, I'm like, so I was reading about changelings the other day, and they're like these fae things that replace your children. So in my fictional world, I have blah, 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 and like, I'm able to direct it somewhere that's not harming me.
Right.
And for the first time in my life, I felt normal. All I needed was direction the entire time. And I did not know.
Hell yeah. I'm really glad to hear that, man. Was it anything in particular, like Dungeons and Dragons or like D&D or any of these other specific role-playing games?
I mean, I started playing D&D, but the person that sold it on me is one of the McElroy brothers. Because I did watch Critical Role. I did watch other shows at that time. But the McElroy brothers with their the Adventure Zone, it was...
Oh, man, I remember.
Yeah. The Adventure... Not Adventure Time, the Adventure Zone. They're two different shows. But it was episode 1 that his brothers and his father started giving him a whole bunch of crap in the middle of the session. He was like, all right, screw the rules. Well, yeah, his name's Barry Blue Jeans. Who cares? And then move forward. And I remember being like, oh, so the rules don't matter. And that's what sold me. Yeah. I needed the rules to not matter, because all these other shows were like, let me look up the rules and see what that is. And I needed someone to say, like, it's freeform. It's freeform creative writing. That's it. And you do it collaboratively with your friends. And that evolved as time went on. I started a home game. I recently ended the 5-year campaign that we did. We're starting another one that's going to be another 4 to 5 years recently. And I have started and ended somewhere around 10 to 12 games since then, just off on the side. I am an addict.
I see that.
I play so much.
It's better to be addicted to something like that, you know, helps get you people to hang around, be around, and like makes you feel better. Obviously, that's something that makes you feel better. It's better to be addicted to that than like gambling or
Adderall.
Yeah, or Adderall.
So coming out of that time, discovering tabletop role playing, I also met the love of my life. And not to say that like I was cured by a woman, but she also like was one of the first people, because I had this long history of people dating me because there weren't better options. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I did realize that a lot of people were falling in love with the way I was treating them, not with the with who I am.
Just being a nice person and not a piece of shit.
Yeah, like
people love that for some reason.
I know, it's strange. It's like, hey, you know what? I think I want to be with someone who doesn't hit me and call me an idiot. Like,
yeah,
I mean, your bar should be a little higher.
100%.
But this woman, her name is Melissa. She, not to say that she fell in love with potential, but she recognized that I was in a bad space. She was also in a bad spot. And she was like, hey, you know, you tried to start a business. You clearly didn't know what you were doing. Why don't you go to school for it? I was like, I don't know. Is that really like, should I? She's like, you probably should. So then I finally dipped in my post 9/11 and I started going to college. And from that point forward, my life has been a complete flip. I went to Ames Community College, and then I'm now at UNC, where I'm about to graduate with 2 bachelors.
Hell yeah.
That was the first place ever I did not feel like it was an idiot, and I was celebrated. I was the speaker at graduation. I'm an honored alumni. I've gone back more than once. I've been in the news twice. Because of the work
for good things, right?
For good things, yeah, of course,
good.
yeah. I know I'm an airman. I'm a goody two shoes. It's fine. That was like the turning point. And while I was at Ames and about to go to UNC, my advisor at the time was like, hey, when you go to UNC, they require you to do an internship. I've got one that probably would work really well for you. I was like, yeah, sure. What's up? And he goes, so the VA is doing an internship for something called a peer support specialist. And I was like, don't know what that is, but I'll take money. And
I'll do it for money.
It was a paid internship. Of course I was. And I knew I had to do it to graduate. So I hop in, I learn more about what peer support is. I learn it's in the world of mental health. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. I've always wanted to get into the world of mental health stuff with everything that I've been through. Because I want to be that voice to tell someone, hey, you're not alone. You're not crazy.
You matter.
You matter. You're processing things in a unique way, and that's causing challenges. That doesn't mean you're broken. And I want to be that voice for people. So I hopped into peer support, and this is the most rewarding work I've ever had in my life. I've been downrange. I've been in real world missions. I helped in my honor guard service while I was in active duty. I helped bury one of the last Tuskegee Airmen. I've done all of these cool things in uniform, but sitting across from someone who served before me, getting told that my presence is helping him not have thoughts of suicide was more important to me than anything I have ever done.
You want to be the person there for somebody that wasn't there for you.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And that's a lot of what I do with peer support. So, all right. So now that I'm officially talking about the thing I'm officially here for, after that whole shebang, dude,
and you're coming back. We're going to set a day where like we talk for like 5 hours.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like you got a lot more stories in you.
I have a
so
lot.
We're going to make that happen.
I would love to not I would love to be here, not in a VA capacity, because then I can actually talk about my first base and totally just shit on him for like an hour. They're likely different now, but at the time I was there, it was bad.
Hey, knock on wood, they've grown as people, and you know, maybe they're trying to find ways to help veterans because they remember how they treated other veterans or soldiers. You know what I mean? Like I was a piece of shit airman. I've been a piece of shit throughout like most of my like 17 shit, even before then. Like till about. I'm
not saying 30,
like
you were definitely a piece of shit.
You were definitely a piece of shit.
Yeah, you were definitely a piece of shit. Yeah.
No, but like people definitely do change. So I mean, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that these guys are in a better place, and maybe they need help.
Yeah.
You know, so you're in the perfect place to do that, to help more veterans, because I would take the bet that at least, 50% of the people that you're helping today maybe weren't the best people before, and probably weren't there for other soldiers or airmen around that time, and now they need your help. So it's I'm really glad that you're doing this stuff.
I am too. So for those watching, peer support specialist, at least in the Northern Colorado VA, I don't know if this is universal, but in the Northern Colorado VA, there's 2 specific requirements. The first and foremost is that we're all veterans. So every single peer that I work with is a veteran. So we have common ground. The second requirement is that we all have our own recovery story, which I mostly talked about here. There's obviously a lot of stories between those different lines. I didn't even talk about all of the different suicide attempts that I have had throughout my life, but like suicide prevention is at the forefront of my mind. And on the team that I work with now, my priority is always improving the quality of life, no matter what that means. And sometimes I am just helping veterans get to the clinic because they can't drive themselves. But a lot of times I am a person in their life that they can decompress with. I'm someone that they can advocate for them. More than once, the phrase that I go for is I kick down doors sometimes, but like I don't physically kick down doors. I just have a veteran be like, hey, I thought I was supposed to be meeting with this person, and now my benefits aren't coming through, and I'm like, I'll take care of it. And I'll call up, a lot of times the case manager I work with, but I'll call up that office and be like, my veteran's not getting the care he needs. And then it gets fixed because I'm part of their system. I'm in their system, but also I'm a veteran. So being around people who give support to veterans, they actually take my word. And when I'm coming from an environment where I didn't have the ability to have a voice, now I do. And that's extremely empowering to be able to do that, to advocate for someone, to defend someone. It feels like what I originally signed up for. And now this far into my life, I finally exhibit my Air Force core values, after leaving active duty and transitioning to
now that I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, now that I'm not in that environment anymore, suddenly, all of a sudden. But now that I'm in the Guard, and now that I'm what they call a nonner, which is awesome because people like to give crap to the Air Force all the time. It's like, oh, you're an air conditioned, you're an air conditioned environment, blah blah blah. And like, I didn't get to experience a lot of that. I was out in the crap with everybody else. And then now that I have an actual office job in the public affairs, I'm hanging out with officers. I've got colonels that like know me by first name basis, and I am in the air conditioned. I'm put up in a hotel when I TDY. I'm like, oh, this is great.
Dude, I really appreciate you coming out here. I know you gotta dip out, but thank you for coming out, and we will definitely be doing this again. More, no time constraints. I know you're going to help some veterans, so I will see you again, man. But I really appreciate you coming out here.
Yeah, and I would really like to bring my supervisor aboard. To talk about the team that I'm on, which is we'll introduce the team once she's here.
No,
but yeah, we'll bring her aboard because I would love to talk about the team that I'm on. I just need someone. I need someone who has a bit more speciality on the technical side of things to really talk about what it is, because there's a lot of nuances.
No, perfect, man. Thanks for coming out, dude.
Oh, other hand. Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Of course. Thank you.